Hi, I'm George Green with Connections Lab. Let's talk about voter contact. I want to start with a quote from Keith Ellison. Keith says, "I love politics. I get to talk to perfect strangers about the most important things in their life." Well, Keith's been doing this a while, and he understands how much fun it can be. But my guess is you were probably a little uncomfortable talking politics with complete strangers. The good news is that it doesn't take long to get comfortable, if you know a little bit about what you're getting into. So let's take a look at what you'll be doing. A staffer will greet you, and you'll be given a voter contact list and a script. The staffer will give you some basic instructions and send you on your way. If you're not comfortable starting out on your own, you can always request to go with another person, perhaps someone who has experience so you can learn from them. Now at the door, smile and be friendly, and be yourself. It turns out the voter will generally match your demeanor. And say that you are a volunteer, and if you live in the neighborhood, mention that too. This puts the voter at ease. Now more than ever, Democrats need to be seen and heard by as many voters as possible. So voters' contact is a numbers game. Don't spend more than a few minutes with someone who's already on our side, and don't spend a half hour arguing with someone you know will never vote for our candidates. There's nothing you're going to say in the short time you have that will upend this person's worldview. Our job is to spend the bulk of our limited time with the people we don't yet have and with Democrats who don't always vote. Lastly, if any time you find the situation uncomfortable or unproductive, simply say thank you and move on. Now, here are a few things about what's going on behind the scenes, the things you can think about and do that will help you to contact voters and have productive conversations. First off, know that the people you will contact have been pre-selected from the Democratic database. Strong Republicans have already been weeded out. Sometimes strong Democrats are weeded out too because we already have them. And you won't walk into this blind. Your walk sheet or call sheet may very likely have information on the voter that gives you an indication of their political leaning. Also, most people are nice, or at least indifferent. Even far-right Republicans are way less bold in person than they are online. Also, you are most likely here because our American democracy is in peril, and you genuinely care about this. That authenticity will come through whether you are talking about that or some other subject. And let's take a quick look at the script. It will usually be short, and you'll begin by saying hello and asking questions from the script. Listen and check off the voter's answer. If the campaign is in the voter identification phase, where we gather information on new or unknown voters, you've just collected all the information the campaign needs. If the voter is not interested in talking more, you can simply say thank you and leave. In the Get Out the Vote or GOTV phase, usually just before the election, it's even easier. We simply remind people to get to the polls and we quickly move on to the next house. In the Persuasion phase, you will have longer conversations where you will speak more in depth. I can understand that this sounds imposing, so let's talk about the elephant in the room. You are probably scared that the voter is going to ask you a question that you can't answer, and you're worried you're going to look stupid. First, know that you can't know everything. Even the candidates can't answer every question. But more importantly, the voter is thinking exactly the same thing. In fact, they may be more nervous than you because you are obviously a political person, and they'll be convinced you know far more than they do. Now, I agree, it's not a great way to begin a conversation, but there are ways to put both of you at ease. Here's the big secret. Say why you care. Say why you care about the effects, good or bad, that policies have on people. All politics is moral. That simply means it's all about right and wrong. Everyone can have a conversation about right and wrong. You and the voter are much more relaxed, and no one looks stupid. This method works. Here's what doesn't work. Facts and reasoning. I know, they should work. We want them to work, but they tragically are just not effective. And all the science backs this up. So it's important that the voters hear your conclusion first. Tell them why you care first. If they want details, they'll ask for them. Messaging this way is especially hard for those trained in the sciences and academics because they've been trained to put their data first and their conclusion last. If that's you, practice getting straight to the point. Tell people why you care and drop the explanation. As Ronald Reagan said, if you're explaining, you're losing. So here's another secret. Because Republicans strategically feed exactly the same messages to voters decade after decade, it often never occurs to these voters that there's any other way to think. Now, challenging their belief will change a friendly conversation into a confrontation. Instead, you can say, I see it a little differently, or here's another way to look at it. And then tell people why you care about the effects policies have on real people. And if you can do it with a story, that's even better. And sometimes people will be surprised and they'll say, gee, I never thought of it that way. You may win them over, or you may not, but in any case, you've planted a seed about how Democrats view the world, and a seed that voter may just repeat in front of others. Now, if we all did this all the time, our way of looking at the world would be more common, and our candidates would have an easier time winning. Here's one thing I do know. Almost everyone gets comfortable after the first few doors, and you get a nice walk-in. And you get to walk away with the satisfaction that you are one of the tiny number of people who actually care enough to get up off the lazy boy and do the important work of voter contact. Believe me, that's a sense of accomplishment you'll get nowhere else. Now, get out there and save democracy. ConnectionsLab.org